The familiars of Devil May Cry. So when we think about Devil May Cry's familiars, which are Griffon, Nightmare, and Shadow, which are also manifestations of the demons from Devil May Cry 1, we also have to think about how these relate to thought forms and what thought forms are. So just a quick recap on what the familiars are. So when Virgil split himself with the Yamato into V and also into Urizen, his human form, the only way it was able to sustain and protect itself is with the familiars. And the familiars are basically manifestations of his nightmares that he had while he was Nilo Angelo. So back in the Nilo Angelo video, I explained that Nilo Angelo is basically you on your spiritual mission having weakened yourself and walked away from what you're truly supposed to do here. And essentially that's essentially what prevented Virgil from achieving his true spiritual power. He wasn't ready for it, and he took different battles that he wasn't prepared for, and he had lack of understanding. So his lack of understanding led to him losing the Mundus. And that lack of understanding, when we look at our spiritual mission, you look at your own spiritual mission, you start to realize that your own lack of understanding, which really just boils down to your lack of knowledge of self, can and will prevent you from growing and maturing into your best possible spiritual state and reconnecting with the eternal you. So this is exactly why Virgil became Nilo Angelo. And as a result of becoming Nilo Angelo, his true personality, while he was locked into that body, being controlled by Mundus, his true personality was actually being tormented. If you go into the Devil May Cry storyline, he was actually being tormented that entire time. And the remnants of his torment and the remnants of his nightmare becomes something that protects his human form when he splits into V. And what's funny about this is I remember that Griffon explains to V that essentially they exist because they have a drive to exist. And the familiars and the humans are Virgil's human form as V relies on his spiritual or his demon side to sustain him. Without it, he can't live. Kind of similar to how the body cannot live without the spirit animating it. So it's just something that you want to take a look at, because these parallels can't really be discarded. In many different spiritual schools of thought, such as Gnosticism and Hinduism, there's plenty of sources where you can find that the body cannot live without the energy of the spirit. If you read the book Astral Dynamics, you'll find that the etheric body, the energy body, is what sustains the physical body. And so your astral body is actually a reflection of the energy body or projection of it, and your energy body remains in your physical body sustaining it, so that when your spirit is projected outside of your body, you don't die, and that your body's energy is consistently sustained through your soul and the energy body within it. That's actually what keeps you alive. But you traveling through the cosmos, you traveling through the astral world, you can do that with mental projection. So what's interesting about Griffon is that Griffon says that dreams can only be dreams when somebody's observing them. And essentially that's what keeps them alive. So you have to think about the familiars. The familiars are the nightmares that Virgil experienced as Nilo Angelos. So they only exist because Virgil observes them. And that's essentially what V is trying to get rid of. They know that they exist and they only cause him pain. So when it comes to when they attack Dante and the end of Devil May Cry 5, and then Dante's asking why they're still fighting, they're only doing it because that part of them that's connected to V, that's protecting him, is still causing him pain. And V, as Virgil's human side, has yet to let go. So this is why V is constantly decomposing. He's decomposing because not only is he still trapped and tormented by his humanity and what his humanity went through in the darkness that he's gone through, but also in terms of what he has yet to not deal with. And this is why I say Virgil's an extremely in-depth character, and I have split this into multiple videos simply because of the fact that multiple times you can see that he's going through different stages of his own spiritual transformation. And not only are you seeing the story of Dante, you always see the story of Virgil as well. And it's good that they have these two parallels going on at the same time, because with Virgil, the thing with Virgil was that his nightmares only end if he rises above them. And the same thing that it occurs with your spiritual self. So when you're rising above your humanity and you're walking into your spiritual way of life and you're beginning to live spiritually and you're taking in the lessons, you have to overcome the pain and the darkness within. And because Virgil made a mistake and he was trapped in a human body, or trapped in a Nilo Angelo body, right? Think of this, you want to constantly make these comparisons to yourself. So because he was trapped in Nilo Angelo the entire time, you could say that he was going through the human experience and all the darkness and the evils that earth and the human experience come with. He was going through hell, and that hell refined him, but for him to truly gain the experience and use it as strength, the only way he could do that is if he overcomes it. And this is why the familiars, they have to die. This is why they can't kill anything. They exist as thought forms, and thought forms, in a sense, in modern occult and modern spirituality, thought forms are exactly what they sound like. Your thought given a physical form or given a spiritual form, and they are everywhere. So whatever you hold a consistent thought on, whatever your beliefs or your feelings are, they create a certain thought form. So you have positive and you have negative thought forms. So if your positive thought form is that things always work out for me when I do this, or I'm the best salesman ever, I'm the best in my job, or I'm always happy when I do this, you're creating a thought form. You're creating things that reinforce a certain reality for you. Your thought forms, they create realities for you. And the same thing happens for negative thought forms. So if you keep telling yourself that you're clumsy, or if you keep telling yourself that things don't work out for you, if you keep telling yourself that you're scared, or if you keep telling yourself that, oh, I need to have the talent to do this, or I need to have the talent to do that, you are effectively blocking yourself. And these manifest within your chakra system. These also manifest in your aura. So you have to be cognizant of what your current thought forms are. And the only way you can really be cognizant is by being self-aware and just observing what you say to yourself and what you think on a daily basis. Take note of your dreams as well. That way you can really get a full understanding of what's around you and what your current patterns are. You can also ask somebody else who's a little bit less judgmental to give you a thought and idea of what your patterns are, to really understand what your thought forms are doing to you. So Virgil's thought forms as Griffon, Shadow, and Nightmare, those are essentially his own thought forms. And you can see, like, when he's going through the story, when V is going through the story, V has a little bit, he has things that essentially reveal this side of him, the parts of him that he struggled with that Virgil never wanted to admit to. The fact that Virgil misses his mother, V also misses his mother. Virgil doesn't show it, but when V returns to Trish and he's asking her for help, she tells him that she's like, I'm not your mommy. And what's funny about that is Trish is obviously a copy of his mother, but V asked her that for a reason, because he's returning to the mother to understand the answers. And the mother symbol in spirituality is that of God. So the mother symbol is that of the originator. So that's why you have the Mother Earth. That's why you have the Great Mother, or the Divine Feminine. So V went to the Divine Feminine to get the answers, because he needs the answers to his spiritual and his etheric side. He'd been too far into the Divine Masculine. He forgot about his own spiritual self. So he's coming to Trish for a balance inside of himself that he's yet to create, that he's yet to gain a foothold of. And this is why I say, after Virgil reunites himself, I think he's much stronger than he was as your reason, than he was throughout the entire series. And the reason why is because he's gone through these things. So when he casts aside, when Dante saves his brother, and by destroying the familiars that challenge him, they die, and then Virgil is finally freed. V is finally free. When V reunites with his human self, or when he reunites with his demon self, and he's able to deal the final blow and fuse himself back together, that's essentially, that freedom is what allows Virgil to not only heal himself, which you can see he's recombined, he needed the time to rebuild himself, but he's also stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually. He's a much more complete being, and he gains the same amount of power as Dante, if not more. And so this is why Dante, with all his upgrades, Virgil is still, he still matches him in power. He's not stronger than him, but he does match him in power, even though he'd been absent the entire time. He'd been split up the entire time. So essentially, that's what we're looking at here. these type of things that we go through, and you have to look at your own nightmares as well. Your own nightmares, they could be your own familiars, the things that you keep around you. But you can also turn these into power for you, the same way that V turned them into a power for him. He controlled them instead of allowing them to control him. So you want to repurpose your own thought forms in your life. You want to repurpose these things and really take them and be like, okay, I understand that this thought pattern or these belief systems that I have, they came about because I was like this or because that this happened. First thing you want to do is start off with honesty. Then what you want to do is you want to take it and be like, okay, I accept this. Now I want to, take that negativity and turn it into something that can truly benefit me, and just put all your energy in that direction. So that way you're not making or going through the same exact things that V did, where you're separated from yourself the entire time. You get to feel like you have to find the answers outside of you, and hurting yourself in the process. You don't want to do that. You want to make this as easy as possible, or as less invasive or destructive as possible, right? So, and that's the cool thing about spirituality, because you've been taught that everything has to be hard. You get to do hard work for it. Spirituality is actually much different. You want to do the most effective work instead of doing the most hard or working hard the entire time. It's about what's effective, and it's about how you can get something into your mind and get something into your belief and your feelings. That's what's truly going to bring you true power. So this comparison that I see with V and Virgil going through the thought forms and balancing using the familiars as their own power, I really feel like that's what allowed Virgil to truly manifest into the great character he ended up being. This second storyline about him going through and technically also being rescued by his brother and other people in the process, I think it's symbolic. I think it's very symbolic. I think it's very, very telling, because, like I said, Dante does represent the root chakra, and after Dante balances himself out, and he, because Dante actually represents, when the storyline first starts, he represents an underactive root chakra, which is like the sloth. So the sloth is lazy and doesn't really necessarily want to get anything done. And in the Dante video, I'm going to go even deeper into this. It's probably going to be the longest one, because obviously Dante is the main character, and Virgil's part was long because he's technically a secondary main character. So, but Dante does start off lazy until something prompts him to, go out and actually seek something. He doesn't really have as much direction, but he's given direction, and he matures over time. That's essentially another way of the story of the hero. Virgil's story of the hero is taking the dark path, while Dante is taking the path of light. So you want to look at that duality and see how they work in conjunction with each other, because they need each other. And this is exactly why Dante is the one to bring V to Virgil. This is why Dante is the one to rescue Virgil or rescue V by defeating the familiars for him. It's the only way that he was able to survive. So essentially, that's what we're looking at here. So this should prompt you to look at your own thought forms and really get a full understanding of what you're going through. And the more that you do that, the further you'll go in your spiritual journey. All right, peace.